my little Bumbabees, and welcome back to a special episode of the Bumba.cast. Today, I'm going to be sitting down with documentary feature filmmaker Guilford Adams discussing his first feature-length documentary, American Clown. American Clown features professional clowns and also actors such as David Arquette, David Howard Thornton, Steve-O, as we know from Jackass, Guilford Adams himself, and even more professional clowns that have worked in the industry that you may not have heard of. The documentary is going to feature all kinds of trials and tribulations of professional clowns in America today, how we see them, and what's changed in the world of clowning over the years. Guilford was an amazing person to sit down and speak to. He was so kind and so sweet, and I'm really grateful that he gave me the opportunity, along with his production company, GingerKidProductions. I really appreciate them as well for reaching out for this interview. It could not have been a nicer very first interview with my very first filmmaker. American Clown is set to debut at the Dances with Films Film Festival at the Chinese Theater in Hollywood on June 23rd. So you can always buy your tickets there to go to the film festival and check that out if you are in the Los Angeles area. If I were, I would definitely be headed that way. So without further ado, let's get right into the interview with A1, Mr. Guilford Adams.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
Good.
Am I saying Teresa? Teresa?
Teresa.
Right on. Well, yeah, you're joining me from the East Coast, correct?
Yes, I am. You're on the West Coast, correct?
I am. Are you in New York City or where are you?
I'm actually in South Carolina right now, but I'm originally from New Jersey. I'm actually trying to move back up to New York, actually.
Well, right on. South Carolina is a great place.
Yeah, it's not too bad. So who am I talking to?
My name is Guilford Adams,
Okay,
and
perfect. Yeah, I was reading all about you, so I know all about you and Scott and everything. So I'm excited to get into this.
oh, cool. Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait. So, yeah, I'm here in Los Angeles and happy to be with you on the Bumba.cast.
Yeah, I'm so excited to do this. This is awesome. When Ginger Kid Productions reached out to me, I was like, oh, absolutely. I would love to interview the director. I looked up all about it. I was like, oh my gosh, Steve-O's in there. I wore my little Jackass shirt and everything to represent. So I just love it. I love all the things that you guys are doing and everything. So I'm excited to talk about this with you guys.
Awesome. Let's shoot. Let's do it.
Yeah, absolutely. So for the listeners, because I'm going to record this for my podcast. So for the listeners today, we have introduce yourself.
Guilford Adams. I'm a clown, professional clown in the Los Angeles area.
Perfect. So we have you, who is a professional clown and everything. So you've worked with Scott Barber, who is a co-director with you for the film as well. He worked on the Orange Years and everything, kind of like a background in Nickelodeon. So Guilford, tell me a little bit about you and where you met with Scott, what brought this film to fruition, all that fun stuff.
Sure. So I guess I'd have to go back to 2017, which is when this film started. I was working as a corporate clown for a fast food restaurant, and they kind of laid off a bunch of us.
Oh, wow.
I'll let you. And it was the field program where we were assistants to Ronald McDonald. And we started filming that in real time because we were all kind of losing a job. And it was kind of at the same time that I don't know if it had happened too much. And well, South Carolina did. There was like this crazy clown scare and everything was happening. These scary clowns are coming after you. And it was like coinciding with the release of it. And all these things were working as a perfect storm to create kind of this clown paranoia or something. You know, clowns are out to get you. So we started recording and we started kind of putting all this stuff because the program was ending. It just felt like a major cultural shift. And Scott at that time, I was familiar with him, but he really got pulled along through GingerKidProductions, and that's when Scott came kind of aboard as a producer. We just got along. We're both Texas boys, so we got along with each other's company really well. And it was the rest is kind of history, you know. But it took a long time to get it going. It's been 7 to 8 years in the making.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's like some Richard Linklater filmmaker kind of Tough taking 11 years to make a movie. That's awesome though. So I'm glad that you guys got it made. So you did mention that you were kind of like a Ronald McDonald's kind of
The way
impersonator,
that we
maybe.
would always describe it, and the way that I think is the way we call each other a TOM, which is an acronym for top of the market. So we're an
Okay.
assistant to Ronald.
Hmm.
Uh, and it's kind of, because there's only one Ronald McDonald.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
There are people that work very closely with Ronald,
Hmm.
and I was one of those people that worked closely with Ronald.
That's awesome. What was that like working closely with him? Would you, say that it was a positive experience or?
I think you're working for, or you're kind of an ambassador for large corporations, so you get a lot of the negative stuff that corporation can kind of engender, but you are also kind of on one of the more sort of I don't know, pleasant sides of it,
Yeah.
right? I mean, because people are usually happy to see you. I mean, everyone's
Yeah.
Ronald, and I think so from that standpoint, it's cool. But then you have to remember, like, oh yeah, my parent organization is maybe considered, not always
Yeah.
the best for kids. So,
Yeah.
it's one of these. Yeah, it's one of these things that you have to toe. The experience of working with Ronald was wonderful,
Hmm.
and and it was, a lot of the guys would say it's the greatest job you could ever have.
Yeah,
And
you're bringing a lot of happiness to kids and people, and you're just a symbol for that kind of, enjoyment. So I get that.
yeah, you're the ambassador of fun, and honestly, for a lot of these, when Ronald would go to a school or he would go to a library or any of these shows, because there's a lot of shows that Ronald would do. A lot of these students that are watching it are this is the first time they've ever seen a theatrical show or any show,
Yeah.
and it really is kind of bringing them a service that, like, most kids, especially in the Los Angeles area, just are not privy to,
No.
and so it's really fun to do. And it was a bummer when that program was basically was exterminated, or not exterminated, but
Yeah.
basically everybody was let go,
I know, yeah. And I also read that the Ronald McDonald, like the program in general is just completely shut down. So,
There's very few people that work with Ronald McDonald. I mean, that honestly, if you've been into a McDonald's, though, it really has changed the tenor, the dynamic,
yeah.
it's not quite the cultural hub that it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
Like Starbucks kind of does that. There's a community there.
Mm-hmm.
But for a lot of McDonald's, there used to be that, but now with everything that's automated, and it doesn't really exist in that store anymore.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I remember McDonald's wasn't even just kind of somewhere you went to just get food or fast food or something. It was like a whole experience. Like, oh, we got the play place, go sit on the bench next to the Ronald McDonald sculpture. It was like a whole thing. And now it's just, I remember the McDonald's near my house when they first got rid of the Ronald McDonald sculpture. I was so upset because it was just there my whole life. He was always on the bench, always sit next to him. So I thought that was really sad when McDonald's tried to rebrand and get rid of him and all of that and try to modernize and just make everything gray, it seemed like.
Yeah, I think at some point maybe it felt like it was a liability for a long time, and maybe it still does. But it's funny because it becomes one of these things where the tail wags the dog. They wait so long to make something change, and by then it's everything's cyclical. So it's like, oh, we're okay with it now
Yeah.
again. Like, oh, they're kind of not quite they're not on the forefront of really what's going on at the very beginning. And I think it was just Steve Easterbrook that came in and took over McDonald's. He's since been fired,
Oh,
but I
wow.
think that was one of his things, is he wanted to get rid of that guy. He wanted to get rid of, and so they did it. They were successful in it, or they did it up to a point. Ronald's still there, but
Yeah,
he's
but
very sparingly.
yeah, very much so. Yeah. So let's get right into the movie, though. So,
Yeah.
what kind of drew you to the art of clowning? How long have you been doing it? When did you start?
Yeah, I really started when I was in middle school, and I did my first clown show. And then when I was in college, I was a physical actor, and so I love clowns and Shakespeare and all that sort of stuff. And then upon moving to Los Angeles in my early 20s, they say, well, you got to have your weeks open for auditions and stuff. And
Right.
so the best sort of source of employment for a lot of young performers is working kids parties.
Oh
And
yeah.
then I really learned kind of my craft just doing clowns at kids parties for years. I've been doing it for 25 years, so
Oh wow.
20, maybe 4,000 parties or something, and you just get good at talking with kids and all that sort of stuff, and you build up a skill set, and so that really was kind of, and then I got included kind of in the Ronald program at working as an assistant to Ronald, and just did a lot of things commercially. Once I kind of created a bigger clown and was working with him, I could do more white face and all that stuff. So I started booking more things, did Modern Family and Glee and all these sort of TV shows as a clown. And, it just became kind of very passionate about that,
Yeah.
especially as these negative ambassadors kind of took up most of the, I don't know, most of the room, most of the space, because most kids now are like, the only clowns they know are Pennywise
Right.
or I guess
Art the Terrifier.
oh, right, or the Terrifier. That's what I was
you
looking for.
Yep.
That's what they know. That's what they know. That's kind of, and I'm not against those clowns. I'm not
No, I
saying,
mean,
hey,
but it's a different clown, it's like there's the horror clown and then there's like the fun clown, the clown you
yeah,
go to the circus and you have a good time with, not the clown that you're like scared, you see him holding a
gonna murder
balloon
you.
in the drain
Yeah.
pipe or something.
Yeah, there's enough. I think there's enough room for both of us at the table. And
For
that's
sure.
kind of
Absolutely.
really what I'm trying to push.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. So as you can see, like I pointed out before, my personal favorite modern day clowns are the Jackass crew. So,
Yeah.
other than Steve-O, who else is in the film that you work with, and what can you tell me about it?
Sure. Well, Steve-O's in it, and Steve-O is a friend of a friend, and he's wonderful. He was in the 1997 class, the Ringling
Mhm.
Brothers, had a bunch of friends that went there. I auditioned that year, but I wasn't admitted that year, and it just happened to be the last year they did clown school with the
Oh,
Ringling.
wow.
And so he was part of that last class. And so anyway, other people in addition to Steve-O, who was just a wonderful, wonderful guy, is David Arquette, who ended up buying the rights to Bozo. And so
Oh,
he's
wow.
got,
I didn't even know that.
yeah, he's got all the rights to worldwide rights. So he's got Brazilian Bozos, everyone. He's acquired all that. And he's got a special mission trying to bring positivity back to clowns. John C. Reilly, who is kind of a cinema clown who has this rich history in clowning as well. Actually, did his kids' parties
Love him too.
20 something years ago, right? Bill Irwin, who's kind of the greatest of all time as far as I'm concerned. Younger people might not know who he is, but he was just a part of the Pickle Family Circus.
Okay.
They might have seen him on the Sesame Street because he was Mr. Wiggle
Oh,
for a long
okay.
time. And he is just he's a Tony Award winner, just the loveliest possible man possible. And he's in the doc as well. David Thornton is also David Howard Thornton, who plays Art the Terrifier. He's in the doc as well. Abner the Eccentric, who's a East Coast clown that's been doing it for eons and eons. And trying to think of some other major player. Richie the Barber, who's a guy out here who's tattooed like a clown. I have them in there too. And then I know there's some other big ones there. And then along the way, there's just
Tons. Yeah.
scholars and people. And there's rank and file like me, just a bunch of bozos that have been doing it for, so many years. And,
Which are the most important bozos of all?
I mean, that's what it wants to be. I think I'm trying to create a space for people that are interested in it to also learn more about it and find out kind of the rich history that a lot of us clowns have.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree for sure because, my dad, I mean, he raised me like as a crazy cinephile. Like, I mean, I had no restriction on what I could and couldn't watch as a kid. So he's kind of taught me all of these things that I probably wouldn't know about if I were to just, go out in the world and try to be pop cultured on my own.
Right.
So my dad, he's always told me about, he was always obsessed with like the old freak shows and stuff like that, and he's just always been into clowns. And he has a sad clown on his arm. He's always called himself the sad clown, like Tony Soprano. So it's like this is like full circle. So this is awesome. I love that you have such great people in the film and to advocate for the art of clowning because I heard that there actually are more news stories coming out about people that are driving around in scary clown costumes, holding knives out windows. And I hope that doesn't make a comeback because I don't like that.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that either. I think we as a society, we tend to bond over hating things. And I
Yes,
guess that's just a human nature, but to me, I think there's a lot more joy that we can bring to each other if we kind of bond over things that we like.
I
I
agree.
think that's more creative.
I agree for sure. What was the most shocking or surprising thing that you have come to learn about clowning?
Oh, wow. Well, it's funny. I mean, I don't know if it's shocking or concerning, but I think in clowning and all of this stuff, it really comes from, people will often ask, and made me kind of laugh when you said your father, he says he's a sad clown. I mean, people will often ask, they'll say, oh, are you a sad or a happy clown? And all clowns are sad. I mean, that's why
Yeah,
we're
it,
clowns. We're all sad. You
agreed.
know, we use that energy to try to make other people laugh because that makes us feel slightly better about
Exactly. Hmm.
our current situation. Um, I don't know if it's shocking as much as it's been, talking to John C. Reilly and some of the interview that we had, that he's got a rich history steeped in kind of caring clowning, which is what a lot of people do. And maybe their intro to clowning when you work in an outreach program at your church or something
Okay.
like that, and you learn balloons and it's very big in the South. And Priscilla Mooseberger, I think, does that a lot, where it's very kind of ministry specific with clowning, which is cool, and it's their own thing, and it's kind of, it spreads the word, so to speak, and it comes from I think a true place in a clown's heart to create compassion for each other, and so I applaud that, and I'm for that. But I'm amazed with how much people within the dock and outside of the dock just have a very sort of that this history of clowning started very young, and then it kind of, and they kind of found it, then lost it, but then they've continued to kind of string it along. And there was not one clown that in the doc that didn't have some sort of ties to when they were a younger kid and the experiences that brought them to clowning. I just thought that was very interesting to me.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is really interesting. Because the bringing it back to my dad, like he always used to say, it's kind of like the thing with Robin Williams. What Robin Williams always used to say that the funniest people are the most sad inside because they want to make everyone else laugh and be happy because they don't feel that way inside. So I think that's where the sad clown comes from. But I don't get that vibe from you. I think that you're a happy clown.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I think people, when you're so giving of yourselves, and we see this a lot in comedic actors that are clowns, and the Chris Farleys of the bunch. So Robin Williams, that's a great. I mean, I think these guys, you can see their kid in them, and you can see, you know, they give so much that it's got to be pretty exhausting. They must feel like an empty vessel at the end of it
Exactly.
because they've given so much of themselves to the public, and it should be something commendable, and it shouldn't be taken lightly. I think we should not only revere that, but then also pay attention to the fact, in a politicized environment that we live today. I think we should really take to heart the fact that clowns and these messengers that are trying to add levity to things, they shouldn't be ostracized and crucified for trying to make us laugh. I think there's something that speaks to us as a society for killing the messengers, and I think there's something wrong. There's
I
something.
agree. I agree. It's I talk about this all the time. I think that, in the world we live in today, I feel like a lot of comedians, or even comedians, not even just, clowns, that are so scared to make jokes about certain things or don't want to touch on it. And that's the whole point of comedy. And we have to find the bad things to laugh at. Otherwise, we'll lose our minds. I was just reading an article the other day. Nikki Glazer, the comedian, she said that she doesn't like to make jokes about Trump because she's scared of what's going to happen to her. And I'm like, I think that we should all just find a way to make it fun and make it relatable for everybody instead of worrying about what's going to happen. I feel like a lot of people are censoring themselves now. And it's just, I think a lot of people are really craving that authenticity. And I think that I get that vibe from you as well. And I think that American Clown is going to be a great documentary film. And I think that this is going to be a really good positive effect on the clowning and comedy community.
Oh, I really appreciate that. I hope that's the case. Thank you so much.
I hope so too. So it is mentioned in the documentary that, like we've talked about, clowning is almost like kind of like a dying art form. So how do you think like closures for circuses like Ringling Brothers or like the Ronald McDonald program that we talked about before affects professional clowns today?
Because those organizations are impacted as much as they have been, I think we'll just have to find more creative ways to create ambassadors to help people for visibility. What clowning is really suffering from right now is just lack of visibility of what I would consider compassionate role models. I wouldn't call Pennywise compassionate.
Oh no.
I wouldn't call a lot of these people I wouldn't call Art, who's funny. Art the Terrifier is funny, but
Yeah,
you're
but
gonna
it's
die if you see him, So I don't think, I just think we need additional things out there that create and there's this as well. So we'll just have to work harder. What's unique, my generation, they became very fashionable to hate clowns because of it. Even the younger one with Tim Curry, it just said, "Oh, I hate clowns," and that
yep.
became kind of a rallying cry for a lot of people. We'll just have to do a better job. The younger generation now, when I do a party for 30-year-olds, they don't have those hangups. They have no problem. They love clowns. We love clowns. So it almost like it's like nature is renewing itself
Right.
just by the other generation
Nature is
getting
healing,
older.
right?
You're like, no, clowns are cool, man. I love clowns. And I think we're at the forefront of kind of a new movement. When people feel like they're marginalized and ostracized enough, a big swath of America, let's say, it's where I live, is all I know, is like, no, I don't like that. That's not cool. I love clowns. Just the tide turns. And I feel like
Exactly.
we're at that spot right now.
Yeah. And I feel like there's also strength in numbers too. So, I mean, if enough people are like, hey, this is actually cool, don't hate on this, people will be like, okay, maybe I shouldn't talk about my hate for it. And they kind of like get quiet.
Right, I think you're
So,
absolutely right. I think then that becomes the minority. When everybody's hating it, that's the majority. And there's like, oh
right.
yeah, it's cool to hate it. The minute it swaps directions, people are like, no, yeah, it's not cool not to like them.
Exactly. Exactly. It's almost like when you post something online and it, starts to go viral or something and the majority are agreeing with you, but then there's a couple people that disagree with you and you can kind of just leave them alone because the people that agree with you start coming after them for you. So it's like, all right, they'll take care of it for me. I don't even have to say anything here.
True, that's
So
true.
but yeah, like we said, I feel like clowns get a bad rep most of the time. Obviously, Pennywise, fear mongering, news headlines, Art the Terrifier. How were you able to balance the themes for nostalgia for the public's love for clowns with more darker elements like killer clowns to kind of bring that positivity to life?
I think that there's a part of us that when you one of my friends said it best in the doc, when you do a kids party, like I just did one earlier today, and you see all the kids loving kind of what you're doing, that's why we do this. It's the one-on-one, the interactions you have with people, as opposed to, what you're going to read in the comment section on a social media
Exactly.
post. That's talk. What
Yeah.
the engagement is the real takeaway, and that hasn't left, and that hasn't gone anywhere. And so I just really, in the doc, tried to show enough of that and other people to talk about that and putting a human face to just these people that have worked their lives on, and being this sort of a messenger, because for clowning's a calling. Like no one wakes up and one day says, I want to be a clown. You find it somehow.
Yeah.
You just, and you keep doing it because you're good at it, because you're vulnerable, because you make people laugh.
Hmm.
And it's something you're not always going to make your mom or dad happy, but besides being a clown. Like, it's not, people don't, it comes,
Right. It's just
it's
in you. Yeah.
it's just in you. And it's like, and somebody said in the doc, my friend JJ Harrison, he's like, you can't just put makeup on anybody
No,
and they're a clown. You just can't do it. Like, you have to, they got to have the heart that does it.
I
And so
agree.
I think that in the doc, I think we've captured a lot of where that heart is in people.
That's awesome. I can't wait to see it. So, where can we watch it? Because I know it premieres on June 23rd at the Chinese Theater in Hollywood at it's the LA Film Festival, Dances with Film.
Dances with Films. Yeah. So it'll premiere there. That's kind of when something doesn't have distribution, that's typically how things go. They go to the film festival circuit to try to look for other distribution. There's also some talk. We'll find a streaming service somewhere.
Oh, I'm sure.
Documentaries aren't typically the biggest money-making ventures that you can do, but I just really want we'll tour it around if we have to. I want people to find this film and to find their inner clown. I mean, that's the hope.
Yeah, I'm super excited about this. I'm glad that we found each other so I could put this out there for you. I'm excited. This is really awesome.
Oh, I
So,
really appreciate it.
yeah, of course. So have you gotten any early feedback for the film? How is it being received so far, and are you happy with it?
Yeah, I said I'm over the moon with how it looks. My friends that I've had, there's it's a weird thing because you do a documentary on this and I'm in it, but I'm only in it because I'm the only one driving the car, right? It's like I would love somebody, bigger directors, like they take it further, and that would
Right.
be awesome, but that never really happened. And so I was like, okay, well, I'll continue to drive because I'm invested in this story. I've got to take it to from A to B. Um, so the hope is that we can kind of continue to do that. I'm sorry, redirect me a little bit because you said I lost the second part of that
Oh,
question.
sorry. Yeah, no. Just have you gotten any feedback?
Oh, the
Any
feedback.
feedback, and are you happy? Yeah.
A lot of my friends say that, I tell them I was pretty good, and it's like, I think you'll, it's like, and they watch it like, dude, I think you totally shortchanged, like, you did not have, this is my first directing feature, and
Oh, this
so
is awesome. I didn't even know that. You should have started off
yeah,
with that. That's awesome.
yeah.
Congratulations.
Oh, I appreciate that, but this is, I've directed plays before and that sort of stuff. So this is the first time I co-directed it, but this is the first time I've really done that. And it was so it's been a labor of love and something that, like, I think I enjoy it every time I see it. I laugh and I'm like, oh my God, that's funny.
That's
So
perfect.
I'm really hoping that it'll be. I've thought about this recently because now that we have a premiere date, I was like, God, I hope there's laughter, and like, because I've never watched it. I think maybe 6 people have seen this. I'm
Oh,
not even
okay.
sure all my producers. I mean, maybe 10 people have seen this. I don't know. You never know if film festival people even
Yeah.
watch it. So,
Right. Yeah. Especially these days, because I feel like everybody just goes for the influencer photo op. Like I feel like years ago it used to be if you go to a premiere for something, you have to watch the movie in order to get into the after parties and stuff like that for like big premieres. And now it's like, oh, let's take a picture and we'll leave and we won't watch the movie. It's like, what's the point in going?
there might be some of that. There might be some of that. But everyone that I've talked to that has been clowns and they've gotten kind of a sneak peek is like, I think you undersold this, man. This is really good.
That's
It's like,
awesome. I feel like I can relate to that as well. It's like you have to be your own biggest fan of what you're putting out. Like if you're not enjoying what you're watching, then what are you going to expect other people to watch it and enjoy it for? So I think that speaks enough of itself. If you're sitting there enjoying it and you think you like it and everything like that, I think it's going to be successful.
yeah, I agree. And there's a lot of it, I know as a director, you watch it over and over and over. And there's a lot of stuff that I don't know if the general public knows this about clowns. I mean, to me, I'm like, oh, I wonder if this should be quicker, this part here, because maybe we're taking too long to describe it. But they're like, no, people don't know this. You know this. You know that
Right.
clowns get on trains and that they have a small, like, but to the average public, they're like, wait, what? That's what they used to do? So I have to remind myself, just let it do its thing. Don't feel like it needs to be, jump cut here and jump cut there. Like, this is good information and people are not aware that this happens.
I
So
agree.
I did, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome too. Cause, even in, making content or something like that for the internet, it's like, okay, well, I can only make this clip 2 seconds because people don't have an attention span and they won't stick with me unless it's engaging enough. So,
Yeah.
but so I can get that. I can relate to that. But, I think it'll be okay, especially with, what you've been talking about. You seem very passionate about it. I'm loving what I'm hearing. So I don't think that we're going to have any problems for you at the film festival.
I appreciate it. We're definitely going to sell it. And I want to go there as clowns. We're going to do kind of one of the opening night salvos. We'll go as clowns and just create an atmosphere, because I think a lot of people just are not, it's maybe not are familiar. I don't, people typically don't have a negative, uh, sort of like perception of things just automatically. It's
No,
because other people foster that in them.
agree.
So I think a lot of this stuff is that there's no interactions with clowns. Most people have. They just feel like other people told them, "Oh, that's not a good. Clowns are horrible." Like, "Oh, are they?" Okay.
Right. Exactly.
It'd be nice to have some more positive experiences and to allow that to happen, even at the festival.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I guess, I don't want to keep you here for too long, but what can you tell us? What do you expect people to walk away from your film with? What do you want them to experience?
Well, I just want to put, I think, a smiling face behind the clown, and not like sinister smiling and like, oh, super spooky. That these are people, these are real people that are passionate about doing this work. And whether or not you like them, or you like clowns, or they creep you out, I want them to have, I would be great if the audience had an appreciation for the passion that people have for what they do, because I think that's important. I think once we see kind of the work that goes into it, and then and the sort of like, and the dedication that goes into it, we feel differently about it. We're like, oh God, that's wow. They work hard. Those guys work really hard. I can tell, and I think that it allows us to see the depth of it.
That's great. I really love that. So I think that it's going to be awesome for you guys. I'm really excited to see this film. I hope that we get it shopped quick and somebody picks up on it fast so I can watch it. So I'm really excited for that. But you were really great today, and I really appreciate you talking with me. And I can't wait to see where this goes.
I so appreciate you sitting down with me. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much. It was a pleasure talking with you.
Oh, thank you so much, Guilford. It was so nice meeting you. I can't wait to see this film. I'm really excited.
Awesome. I'll let you know. I'll let you know.
Yeah,
Send you.
definitely keep in touch.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. What a guy, that Guilford Adams, huh? So I'm super excited for the premiere of this movie. I don't know if you could tell, but I was a little nervous. But I mean, I was also really excited to sit down with him because I did some research about him before I interviewed him, as well as Scott Barber, his co-director. And Scott Barber did a documentary that's actually on Amazon and Apple TV. It's called The Orange Years. It's about, the early years of Nickelodeon, that I thought was really interesting. But Guilford was so awesome, as you could tell in the interview. He is super passionate about clowning and obviously about documentary filmmaking and just filmmaking in general. You can tell that he just really cares about what he's doing. I mean, it's very apparent that he enjoys watching his own film. So if he listen, I've told you all the time that I watch my Instagram stories and everything I make over and over again. I mean, I watched my Coachella vlog probably like 4 times on my own. Like, it's 2 hours long. So yeah, I mean, if you will watch your own productions over and over again and you still fuck with it by the end of it, I mean, that's what it's all about. Pardon my French there. But like I said, American Clown premieres at the Dances with Films Film Festival in Los Angeles. It's an indie film festival. You can actually purchase tickets prior to, if you would like to go, if you're in the Los Angeles area. So, like I said, the film festival takes place between June 19th and June 29th of this year. It's taking place at the TCL Chinese Theaters in Hollywood. You can purchase tickets pre-sale purchase value at danceswithfilms.com. From there, you can follow all kinds of links. It shows you all the feature films that are going to be there, the shorts, the documentaries, downbeats, pilots, things for kids and family, midnight features. You can get a festival pass that'll give you access to every single film being debuted at the film festival. They're only $375. And I mean, if you have time and you want to, put on a diaper and whatnot and, just literally live at the Chinese theater for 10 days. I mean, more power to you. But I mean, if you are in LA and you want to see individual films at the film festival, tickets start at $20 per film. And then on the website, it lists tax at $1.72. So you could go see American Clown. That premieres June 23rd at the Chinese Theater at 7 p.m. on West Coast time for only $21.72. And I'll tell you what, you'd probably pay the exact same amount to go to the movie theater and go see just, some big budget Hollywood film, in all honesty. And you're going to a film festival. Like, you're going to be there. You're going to see the filmmakers. You're going to have the energy. You can talk to people that love cinema as much as you do. It's not just like some, Joe Blow sitting next to you in the theater that's like ordering a beer and like maybe you're getting head lice from the headrest in the movie theater. Who knows? I mean, I don't know. I think film festivals are a little bit more classy than the movie theater, but I do love a theater. Don't get me wrong. But like I said, go check out Dances with Films and American Clown if you are in the LA area on June 23rd. If not, if you're like me, you can't make it, obviously. Definitely look out for it possibly getting shopped around and bought by a distribution service. It could get picked up by any streaming service and they put it out. So hopefully that happens. I'm crossing one set of fingers, not two, because that's bad luck. And as soon as I hear confirmation of something, I will definitely be letting you know because I am dying to see it. Well, that's a wrap on this episode of the Bumba.cast interview with Guilford Adams, American Clown documentary filmmaker. It was a fun one, wasn't it, guys? I think it was fun. Hopefully I do more things like this in the future because I love speaking with people that are passionate about what they do and people that are also not just passionate about what they do, but passionate about filmmaking and just overall that aspect of entertainment. It just makes me really excited, honestly. It just gives you that high vibrational energy. So again, thank you to GingerKidProductions for getting me in touch with Guilford, and thank you to Guilford specifically for entrusting me in being the first interview you sat down with to promote the film. It's a true honor, and I can't say enough how much it means to me. And if I sound awkward, it's because I grew up in a household where I was traumatized and nobody gave me real compliments. So it's a compliment to me for him to have me interview him. So I probably say the same words over and over again and sound like a moron, but trust me, I do appreciate it as robotic as it may come out. So I hope you had as much fun as I did, keeping you as updated and as pop cultured as I physically can. I do it all for you and the love and support you keep on giving me. I'm so loved. You really love me.
You love me. You really love me.
I'm so grateful. Keep on spreading the good word and make sure you turn on those automatic downloads so you don't miss an episode. And if you're not following me on social media, you already know. What's your damage? You can find me on Instagram, Threads, and TikTok at Bumba.cast. And of course, YouTube at the Bumba.cast pod, where you can see the video version of this episode as well. So until next time, I'll see you soon, my little Bumbabees.